NASCAR fans, welcome back down pit row. It's your host, Ralph. Excited to be talking about some NASCAR Sprint Cup action. Took a few weeks off. There's a lot going on. There's summer. This guy had a birthday. We're getting ready for football. A lot going on, but that won't stop us from continuing to talk NASCAR as we have the season head into the playoffs. The storylines are getting clearer, and the anticipation is starting to build. So we're right along for the ride as usual. Again, I'm your host, Ralph. This is Pit Road on Tigerbomb Sports Audio Entertainment. Pit Row is just one of the podcasts we have here, guys. You could go to www.tigerbombsae.com, listen to Pit Row there. But you would also see that there are a slew of other podcasts, if that's your thing. Fantasy football, fantasy baseball. There's some true crime. A little bit of everything, guys. And we'll continue to grow. Tiger Bomb is a way for us. We are Tiger Bombers. There's a theoretical car ride. There's a family, a mom, a dad, some bad kids in the back. There is potentially a Tiger Bomb podcast for everybody in the car on this theoretical car ride across the country. That's the idea. A little bit of something for everybody, but the sports is the real anchor here. We win. That's what we know how to do. Learn, scout, win, repeat. We win in fantasy football. I've won thousands on DraftKings. We win in fantasy baseball, thousands on DraftKings. We are turning NASCAR into our next sport endeavor that we can use to continually clean up in our daily fantasy aspects of what we do here. So that's a little bit about Pit Row, where we came from, and Tiger Bomb. Got the website if you want to listen there, but if you're more of a on-the-go person with your podcast, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere you listen, just search for Tiger Bomb Sports Audio Entertainment. This podcast will pop up. You can like and subscribe. It's a nice way to catch those other ones, too, as I mentioned. If you're listening on, Spotify or whatever, just go back and look at you see it's all mixed in there. The baseball's in there. Go back a little further, the football's in there, and that's where that'll be coming back up if you're so interested in fantasy football domination. Facebook, Twitter, just search for Tiger Bomb Sports Audio Entertainment. We will come up, guys, and we can stay connected. At that, now that we've got the heavy lifting done, let's talk about some Sprint Cup action, and we had better start with the better 301 from last week, the Sprint Cup Series race at New Hampshire on the Magic Mile. Great race, took us there to the 1.058 mile oval, and the anticipation going into the race was that now there's just 3 spots up for grabs in the 16-driver playoff, total field. So, a lot on the line here for a lot of guys like your Blaney's and your Harvicks, etc. going in. Those front runners are Chastain, Larson, and Harvick going into this race. We go green with Truex and Elliott up front. I got to say, was not a lot of passing in this race. We go green with Truex and Elliott up front. Not a lot of grip down low early on. We get a nice caution early, a big caution, I have to say, not nice. Big crash. Bowman and Ty Dillon. Tough break for Ty. Wrecked that car up nice. 42 got into the door of 31 and causes contact with the 48 and then the 78 as well. And the 77 careens into the wall too. The 31 was just racing hard for a spot, and he seems to be the one to blame there. And so we go green again now, lap 12, stage 1, 70 in the first stage at the Magic Mile. Truex takes the top line, Bubba Wallace down low, and still not a lot of passing throughout this first stage. With 12 to go, our order was Truex, Wallace, Larson, and Elliott, and then Truex takes the stage. We go green for stage 2 with Truex, Harvick, Larson, and Wallace up front. Hamlin lost 9 spots on pit road. That team continues to struggle there down the stretch of the season as they have in the beginning of the season. Then we get another caution. Kyle Busch loses it, but doesn't do much damage, and nearly everyone avoids him easily, even though there were a bunch of people around him at this point. But no harm, no foul. Green now with Truex and Larson up front. Harvick is third. Another caution. Big wreck with the 7 and the 21 of Burton and the 34. 7 is done for sure. 7 rear tires locked up. That was it. Those tires locked up. Most everyone coming down pit road at this point. But a few stayed out. Logano, Cindric, Boucher among those. Elliott came down pit road twice after feeling too loose. So he'll be in the back when we go green. And then we do go green now at lap 101 with Logano, Boucher, and Truex up front. Truex already catching Cindric, who had stayed out. Chase moving now. Caution, Blaney into the wall. So we go green again with 34 to go in the stage. Truex and Logano up front. We get another caution. The 14 got spun around. Green with 30 to go now. Truex, Logano, Harvick up front. Caution again. Kyle spins out again. Also again with no contact. He was 13th at this point. He'd really worked hard to get back up there, and the same sort of a deal as before, but luckily, again, no contact. 3 and the 6 get into it down the back straightaway after this, though. During that caution, banging back and forth between the 3 and the 6. I think the 6 was saying the 3 was trying to wreck him, and he was not afraid to get into Dylan's car. His guys on the radio tell him to lay off, and he's like, that dude tried to wreck me. So, first time I've seen that where, like, cars just banging like that, like just, pissed at each other. But that happened. So we go green with 19 to go in the stage. Truex, Harvick, and Logano up front. The lead car continues to get a good jump on the bunch. Elliott's running 5th at this point. So now 10 to go in the stage. Elliott's 3rd now. And then Truex takes the stage with Harvick ending 2nd, Logano 3rd. Bell with issues on pit road loses a tire. They're not out of the pit box, though, so he's good. Green now for final stage. Briscoe, Truex, Elliott up front. 106 to go. Truex back ahead of Briscoe. Caution. The 38 spins around. So we're at 97 to go now. Gilliland gets it turned back around. Austin Dillon gets turned around by Harvick on pit road. These guys are trying to get out of the box. I haven't seen that in a while. Like, literally, Dillon turned, like, his car got turned around 180 on pit road, clipped in the back. Green now, Kurt Busch on the outside, Logano down low, 92 to go. Truex back in the pack now, so that car is a little different. Now that he's running in that, he doesn't have the air that he had out front. He's in the pack now. He's got that dirty air, so it's affecting the 19 a little bit, as I should say, the 18 rather. 88 to go. Kyle Busch in the top 10 now, fighting his way back. Lead, we have Kurt, Logano, and Elliott. 73 to go at this point. The 9 and the 22 are banging. Off turn 4. There's a lot going on right there. Here comes Bubba. Bubba Wallace back up to 6 at this point. Truex and Wallace is behind Truex at this point. 39 to go. 9 and the 20 are battling for 1 and 2 now. Bell out front. Elliott, Kurt behind Elliott. Bubba's 3rd now. Same order. 15 to go. Bell looking good out front. 7 to go now. Here we go. Bell poised to take it. Behind him is Elliott, Wallace, Truex, and Harvick, and Bell wins. He secures his spot in the playoffs. His first win of the year. And big win for the Gibbs team, trying to get all those cars into that playoff scenario. Really leaving Truex is the only one now who hasn't secured a spot. Bell was feeling the pressure. A lot of young drivers, first-time winners and things like that. And so I'm sure he was feeling the pressure to get this monkey off his back, and he was able to do it. So big win for Joe Gibbs' team and Christopher Bell, who had success here before. He knew how to drive in New Hampshire, and he was just too good to beat last week. We'll move on, though, as the NASCAR Cup Series moves on to Pocono this week. So we got to talk about the M&M's Fan Appreciation 400 going down at the Tricky Triangle. This will be 2.5 miles as far as the configuration is concerned. If you're interested, the total purse take home is $6.8 million. After 2 years of doubleheaders, NASCAR is back to racing 400 miles in just one day. 3 completely different corners make up this track at the very end of very long straightaways. The 5-speed transmission that we have now in the next gen is going to have to stand up to the test here, is going to have to prove to be durable. Pocono poses a problem for shifting anyway. When we had the cars before with just the 4-speed transmission, the thing was always, can that transmission hold up? I think this is why they were doing the 2 smaller races. So now we're going back to a big 400-mile race. We've got the 5-speed of the next gen, but transmission problems not uncommon here. Like in the second day last year, Kyle Busch, his transmission got messed up. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't get it out of 4th. Luckily for him, there were no cautions toward the end. They had a big green flag run towards the end of the race, and he had come in to see if they could fix the transmission, so he had more gas than everybody else. So it worked out for him. But this car is going to have to it's going to be interesting to see if the transmissions hold up, if they break down, what happens. But we know Pocono shifting is very important. And so there's the likelihood that we have an increase of the possibility of something going wrong based off just, what we've already seen. Truex has led over the he's got to be somebody that you're looking at this week. He's led 281 laps, more than any other driver in the last 4 races. So he's been coming on strong. Understands that he's going to need a victory if he wants to secure a playoff spot. The issue, though, 14 race drivers have secure positions in the 16-driver playoff field. Potentially, we could have a scenario where it's uniquely competitive, meaning that, there's going to be more, we could potentially have more first-time race winners this year. So you could have more than 16 different race winners, which means that then the playoff postseason opportunity is going to be based on your position in the standing. So I think this is interesting because even those drivers that have made the cut, they've got to remain on the top of their game. Nothing is promised. Blaney and Truex are in those last 2 spots, 15 and 16, and remain the only 2 drivers inside the playoff cutoff based on point standings, and they don't have a race win, either of them. So you got to be invested there. My interest this week would be Gibbs' team. They're coming on strong. Kyle's had success here. Bell coming off the good run last week. But the whole team in general, Hamlin, I like these guys, but especially Martin, as he's been driving well, as I mentioned. But we like Gibbs. Harvick especially. I don't have a problem with Stewart-Haas, but Harvick especially. And I want to see Penske this week too, because they've got a lot to race for as well. So those are my main teams that I want to focus on: Gibbs, Penske, Harvick. But I'm gonna mix and Harvick. I'm not saying the whole team, but I'll probably get his team in there with him. So those 3. But then after that, I'll mix in Trackhouse and Hendrick. Those are the other 2 teams that I'd like to get some exposure to. So if you're playing DraftKings, this is why I'm saying this, right? It's like you could mix and match these guys with those other teams. So I like Gibbs, Penske, and Haas. So why don't you mix and match some of the Trackhouse guys? Definitely get Chastain in there, Suarez even. But the Hendrick cars too, for sure. Those are my favorites. There's a lot of things that we can do to save salary towards the bottom of the player pool. Gragson won the Xfinity Race Series today. I don't know if he can pull off 2 victories in a row, but he ran well, knows it, right? And so, $5K, something like that on DraftKings, not a bad move. You got to be weary of some of these guys down there. You want to go with Dylan, that's okay. But I'm starting to see a lot of, bad luck for your LaJoys and so on, and your Burtons, right? Can't go down there at this point of the season. If you want to, you got Yelly down there. You could go there, or Gragson, like I said. But we ultimately want to have a player pool reflection that really doesn't dip too much lower than a guy like Boucher, right? Or Brad K. Again, want some exposure to him, I think, even this week as well. Had his best finish of the season last week. Finished 7th in New Hampshire. Best by a mile. We'll have to see if they can keep the momentum going. But that's what I'm looking at for the M&M's Fan Appreciation 400 at Pocono this weekend. Hopefully you guys have luck on DraftKings if you're playing, if you're betting. Hopefully you have luck there too. But got to have exposure to Truex and Blaney. I like Truex even more than Blaney. But outside of that, it's the Gibbs team from me. And Trackhouse, it's just 2 cars. You can fit them in there, and they're running well. I think, there's a 2-car team where you can get both those guys in the top 10 right now. So, think about that as you build around maybe something like that on DraftKings. But certainly that's my core. Guys, it's been real. Hopefully you enjoy the race on Sunday. Any questions? You guys know how to find me. You can reach out on Twitter. You can reach out on, Facebook or whatever. But other than that, we'll see you next week, and we'll be reviewing Pocono and looking ahead. Peace.